let Coach Harsin make an opening comment, and then we'll take questions. Coach?
All right, game week. It was good to have the bye week. I'll talk about that here in just a minute, but certainly looking forward to the opportunity to get back out, have a normal week, and get prepared for Ole Miss. Really good football team, and we'll get more into that. Just wanted to recap from the Arkansas game, and we put these players out, but just players of the game. Bo Nix on offense, Zacoby McClain on defense. Our O-lineman of the game was Killian Zaire, and proud of him and his opportunity to get in there and play. Did a very good job, obviously, and it was good to see him go out there and just improve as the game went on, and also have the opportunity to be the offensive lineman of the game. And that's continued through this week, where his preparation, his play has gotten better. We'll get Austin Troxell back, and so that will be good to have both those guys in that position. D-line, Colby Wooden continues to play at a high level for us, has done very well at the D-line position. And then special teams with Shedrick Jackson. That was a good road win, good, tough team we played. The environment was great, and was proud of our guys just for the focus, the effort, everything leading into that week, coming off the Georgia game, and certainly the way we played. So that carried over into the bye week. We got some good work in, just as far as practice goes. So we got 3 good practices, got a chance to get a few guys healthy, spent some time conditioning and going back through some things that we normally spend time on during spring ball and fall camp. So the fundamentals and the basics, and also giving some of the younger players a chance to get out there and compete and see those guys a little bit more within the schemes that we run, and not so much just the scout teams that they've been providing looks for, which was good. So some of those young guys, right now you can see the development that's going on in the weight room, and some of the extra conditioning things that we've been able to do with these guys while they redshirt or play sparingly at this point. And so, it was a good week from that standpoint, and a good week to see some of that development with those younger players. We did do some testing. Guys tested well in the weight room, and so now that gives us a little bit more of a foundation for those young players, where we can continue to build on that into the off season. And as we know and can't forget, they're these guys that are redshirting right now still have those 4 games that they can play in. And we've had a few guys that have played in a few already, but we monitor that, and I think that rule, since it's been implemented, is a great rule, allowing opportunities for guys to play while still using that year as a redshirt year. At the same time, helping your team if you need somebody for a game or you need somebody to finish out a game. It's not going to cost them like it used to, burning a redshirt year. So the other thing the bye week provided for the players was a chance to heal. So some of the guys have been playing just a little bit of time to let those guys still get work in, but rest, not get as many reps as they have previously in our weeks of practice. And so getting a few guys just feeling better, and a chance to hopefully get some guys back through the bye week, which was good, and good timing for us. Allowed the coaches to get out and recruit. So there was opportunities during this past week to get on the road, get a chance to see some of the high school coaches, to watch a few games, and to get Auburn and the brand out there and doing some recruiting, which is very important for us and vital for our future and our success. So all those things worked out really well. The best part now is just getting back into this consistency again of the week, back into the season, back into preparing ourselves for the game on Saturday evening at 6 against a really good Ole Miss team. I got a chance to watch them against LSU, and LSU looked strong early in the game, scoring. They went down the field and scored on that drive. And then you could see Ole Miss, they Offense was on fire. Quarterback played well. Again, defense really came on and played physical. Special teams were solid all the way throughout the game. They're 6-1 for a reason. They're one loss coming to Alabama. And if you look at just some of the things that they're doing from an offensive standpoint, they're scoring a bunch of points. So I think they're second in the SEC in scoring. Total yards, they're first. They're running the ball well. They're passing the ball well. They're aggressive in their third down and fourth down situations, so they're going to get close. And close for them is probably a little bit more than what most people would do in a fourth down situation. So, but they've been very good at it, and they've gone for it quite a bit, so you got to be ready for that. And they've been successful with it, so they're executing. A big part of that is their style of offense and certainly their quarterback and his play. They're a tempo team, and we've seen some tempo this season, so you have to be ready for that on the defensive side, and they're going to have a lot of variety in there in the pass game that comes off the run, and certainly being prepared for the quarterback run game as well. Matt Corral, leader of this team, obviously on the offensive side, front runner for the Heisman. Completing about 70% of his passes, 15 touchdowns, 1 INT. He's making good decisions. And like I said, he runs the ball hard. He's a physical player at that position, and he's shown that throughout the entire season. Their wide receivers, Drummond, 36 catches. He's got 17 yards per catch. Very good player. Very consistent for them as a playmaker. Their two running backs, Ely and Parrish, both those guys are both playmakers. They got a high completion. They're catching a lot of balls, so those guys are making quite a bit of things happen in the pass game. And they've got more weapons than just those guys there. So offensively, I've been impressed with just everything they've done. Defensively, I think they're third in the SEC in turnovers gained. They're second in sacks. And, they've done some things on the defensive side with that front, which is multiple, with that 3 down and the different variations they can bring with their safeties and linebackers. And they played physical in the games that I've seen. A few guys that stand out, they got 5 returning starters from 2020. Sam Williams, their D end, very good player, 29 tackles. Is playing very well this season. Chance Campbell, he's our leading tackler. This guy's physical, he's fast, he plays hard. It shows up when you pop on the tape. He stands out. And so does Reese, number 3. Both those guys, they're going to be in there on tackles. They're going to play physical, and they've been that way through the entire year. So they've shown a lot of consistency from that standpoint. So they're ranked for a reason. Both those sides of the ball are playing really well. Special teams are solid. They haven't punted much. I think they've had like 20 punts they've attempted this season because they go for it so many times on fourth down. But all their specialists, very, very good. Those guys make plays. They play hard on special teams, and so you can tell they're well coached. This is important to them. They've had some good momentum. They created in games. They played in some tough environments as well. And, our guys certainly know from having a chance to watch these guys over the past 10 days or so and going into this week and knowing who we're going to play, they definitely have our attention, and our guys are looking forward to having a great week of practice and then getting themselves ready to go play against a really good football team on Saturday night. So we're looking forward to that. And excited to be back into a normal week and looking for some consistency from our team, and looking forward to seeing our guys go out there and have a great week of practice and show up ready to play on Saturday night. So with that, questions?
First question is from Jordan Hill.
Bryan, I want to ask you about Matt Corral. You mentioned the success he's had. Just what stands out to you about his play? What has put him in the position to make plays?
I think this guy's tough. I think he's a tough player. People say football player. That stands out. He happens to play quarterback. This guy's a football player. He throws the ball very well. He does a very good job on play action. He runs the ball hard, and he runs it physical at his position. He's making good decisions. You can tell with his stats, 15 touchdowns, 1 INT. I think he's also their leading rusher as well. So, he does a lot of things for what they're trying to accomplish on the offensive side. I think he's got a good feel for what they're doing. So their offensive coordinator, Jeff Levy, Coach Kiffin, those guys have done a very good job with him, and he plays hard every single game. And, I think good football players do that. They play hard, they go out there, and I have no idea how he prepares himself or what that looks like during a week. But come game day, you can see there's consistency in his play. There's a toughness in his play, and there's certainly, decision-making and actual plays being made from that position because of him. So very impressed, and, he's one of the best in the country. And, so you got to be prepared for that and know what you're getting into.
Justin Hokanson.
Hey, Coach. How do you sort of approach coming off a bye week where, you had a big road win, so you've got some momentum, and then you go into a bye week? What's your experience been with trying to keep that momentum going versus having the bye, and kind of how you're approaching this week?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a formula necessarily. I think it really is determined by your team and just their mentality. Like we won a really good game against Arkansas, and I think there was a lot of energy coming off that game, and certainly you feel the momentum as we came back and kind of put that game to bed and moved on to the bye week and got prepared for that. But it's about the mentality of your players. Are we still trying to get better through the bye week, which I think we did. I don't think we took the bye week for granted. I think we went out there and guys practiced hard from what I saw. I think there was positive things that we were getting done on the practice field fundamentally, technique-wise. Coaches went on the road Wednesday night, so it was really just Coach Schmedding, myself, GAs, analysts that were there on Thursday. So it was kind of more of a captain's practice where we had to be, you're counting on your leaders of your team to really step up and make sure that we're not out there wasting our time. I don't think we wasted any time. I think the guys conditioned well. So sometimes, guys will want to just relax and back off and kind of take a whole week off. And we're just not that. One, that's not our mentality. And two, I think our players, and certainly we know as a staff, like we're nowhere where we need to be in order for us to have like a day where we can just kind of back off. We're still learning. We're still developing. We're still spending a ton of time of just getting some of these basic fundamentals and even schemes and details still installed to a point where we can do them at a consistent rate. So that to me, what I saw, I don't think anybody really backed off from that standpoint. We did from a physical standpoint, but I think mentally and just what guys were trying to get done, we had a productive week. Now the real key is, okay, you're into a regular week. That Tuesday practice that we're about to have tomorrow, that needs to be high energy, fast tempo, back into that groove that we've had going into the Arkansas week. We have to have that. So to me, that comes back to our consistency as a team, as a staff, and getting right back into the things we know have worked for us and improving on them.
Bennett Duranda.
Hey, Bryan. It seems like Ole Miss's defense is getting better every week right now. How much are you sort of focusing on maybe their last two games on film versus some of the earlier games where they were giving up a lot more points?
You're 100% right. They are getting better. I think their whole team is getting better. Watching now going and studying our opponent and really looking at the games they played. I've seen them on television a few times, but now as you study them, they are getting better. They're improving. They have momentum. I thought the defense played really physical against LSU. LSU ran the ball early, looked physical, did some things in that first drive, and then the defense turned it on, and they were playing physical in that game. So they play hard. At the end of the day, Their schemes, it's a little bit different, unique to what they do. But their guys play hard, and they play physical. And the guys I mentioned, Reese, Campbell, Williams, other guys on their team, those guys are around the football, and, you can tell that there's, they're working on those things. It's not just something that shows up. They're working on it. They practice every week, too. I'm sure they're getting their coaches are giving them the coaching points they need to improve every single week, and that's what you see. So, we know this is a good football team, period. Ole Miss is very good, and we're going to have to practice, and we're going to have to prepare ourselves. And like I said, know what you're getting into and carry over some of the things that we've done really well and be consistent so that we can go and improve and be a better football team on Saturday.
Mark Murphy?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about Jeremiah Wright. How is he coming along? Is there any chance he could play this year? And is there anybody else that's definitely out for the season for any reason?
God, I wish he could. I'm glad you asked about him. He's running now. He had his shoulder pads on the other day, so he's out there doing things. Will he be ready to play this year? No. He's not going to be ready to play this year. And even that injury, you're coming off an ACL. You don't want to re-injure an ACL. You want to make sure that guys are completely healthy, fully at the full strength, full capacity, where they can make all the moves and things they have to do to play at their level. But it's good to see him out there. He's running with the guys. He's got pads on. He's got helmet on, and at times. So it's just good to have him out there. Like, he's got a vibe about him that you want on this team. He's got, I think, leadership qualities that you want on this team. He is very aware of what's going on with this football team. So the more he's around, the better that we are. I wish he could play. We could use him. That guy would be a difference maker for us without question. So, and then right now, nobody else is. There's no season-ending injuries. The guys that have been out a little bit, expect those guys to be back. This bye week helped. That did help with our recovery. It did help with some of our guys that have played a lot of snaps. And we played a lot of snaps in the Arkansas game. So from that standpoint, for the defense in particular, the bye week came at a really good time, and that allowed us to get some other guys healthy and back out there on the field. And we'll just see how this week goes. And, some of those guys that haven't played as much, how can they contribute this week and get back in the mix?
Tom Green?
Hey, Brian. I know when you were asked at SEC Media Days about the vaccine, you said it was a deeply personal choice for a lot of people. Now that the university is mandating it for all employees, can you disclose whether you've received the vaccine yet, or if you plan to be vaccinated by the deadline?
Yeah, then you go back to, not just media days, but also in August. I had a chance to talk to you guys about that as well. So I'm aware of the new policy. I appreciate you have to, ask the question and understand it. But, it doesn't change. I mean, the executive order, all those things, doesn't change the fact that I'm not going to discuss any individual's decision or status on the vaccine or anyone else's, including my own, like I said before. So, from the beginning, I think I made it clear that I wasn't, that wasn't something that I was going to talk about or discuss, and wasn't going to go down that road. And don't feel like right now that's any different. We're focused on Ole Miss. We're focused on the things we have to do to get prepared for this week. There's a lot of other things right now that we have to make sure we're ready for with this football team, and that's what I got to stay focused on with our players and our staff and the people in this program. So, we've had those conversations, but, that doesn't change what I've said before.
Jason Caldwell?
Ryan, you talked about killing Zaire. I guess first, is he a guy that showed enough in his first start to potentially be out there again as a starter, even with Chotso coming back? And then I guess now that you had a week to look back at the first 7 games, what's your overall impressions of the offensive line?
Well, he's certainly put himself in a position to compete. There's no doubt about it. You know, one of the hardest things when somebody gets injured and they've been out there fighting for you and things happen, all right, in any sport, and someone comes in and plays really well. Well, you know what? There's a positive to that because that player that came in was ready for his opportunity, and you're always telling guys, be ready. When your opportunity comes, you need to take advantage of it. And Killian did exactly that. Troxel is feeling better, so those guys get a chance to compete. And, you know, the thing about Trox, that dude is tough. Like, he is blue collar, he is tough, he is everything that we talk about in this program. He lives it, and he's a guy that, in my opinion, exudes, you know, exactly that mentality that we want to have. So those guys would get a chance to compete. As far as the O-line goes, you know, early on, those guys took a ton of criticism from the previous season. They were a big question mark, and, you know, I think there's still a lot to improve on. No different than, you know, the D-line, the DBs, the quarterbacks. Everybody's got things they got to get better at. The O-line's no different, but those guys have done a good job of improving each week, in my opinion. I think they've gotten better. I think they take pride in their development. I think they take pride in trying to be a physical unit. I think they take pride in making sure that they understand what we're trying to accomplish in the run game and pass game from their standpoint. And, you know, they've gotten better as the season's gone on. So I like the mentality. I know we can get better. I think we need to have a little bit more competition in that room. But we'll see how that goes over the course of this week.
Last question today comes from Brian Matthews.
Yes, Brian, appreciate this. Wanted to ask you about your running game. I know you've worked on it. I'm not saying you haven't worked on it, but this bye week, is that an opportunity you feel like to improve there and maybe get more success on first and second down, even when teams are sort of stacking the box and trying to stop you?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're always working on the run game, you know, with many other things as well. But, yes, we had a chance to work through some of those things. And what the bye week gives you an opportunity to do is go back and look, all right, what was good, what was bad, and why? And then let's go work against some of those looks. As much as you're trying to prepare for your opponent each week and win that game, you know, we're still teaching the game of football to our guys because you're going to see some of that. We can say they're a what front, or this is the looks we're going to get. That may change in the game. They can do whatever the hell they want to do on defense. They can give you whatever look they want. So you got to teach guys how to handle that and still be able to run the ball. It's not like you call the play and they line up in a certain defense. You can't just, you know, decide you're not going to run the ball. You got to know how to do it. So we've taken advantage of the opportunity to do that, kind of teach the guys some of those different looks that we've seen, and then, you know, just prepare them that way. But absolutely, we're trying to get better in the run game.
All right, Coach. Thank you much for your time.
Okay, thank you.